How's it going, everyone? Bass here. So recently I just made a salary cap update video for the Packers, how they stand in their salary cap after most of the rookies have signed after the Jair Alexander extension. And after estimating the collective cap hit for the three remaining unsigned rookies are Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Zach Tom, the Packers will have roughly $15,890,000 to play with. So today I wanted to make a video showcasing, a couple free agent veterans or just free agents in general that the Packers could target and I would love to see in Green Bay. And if they were to sign some of these guys, I would be extremely happy. Because $15 million is a decent chunk of change to play around with. Now, obviously, they could just leave it as is and roll that over into 2023, where they have guys like Elton Jenkins, Rashawn Gary, Darnell Savage that they need to kind of work on extensions with. So they could very well just keep this money, roll it over. But there is a couple spots on this team that could use some free agent help, some veteran help. So today, like I said, I'm going to have 4 free agents that I would like to see in the green and gold. Now, before I go into the first person, I want to get this straight out of the way. I will not have a wide receiver on this list. Not Odell, Julio, or Will Fuller. Outside of injury, I just don't see the Packers signing another veteran free agent wide receiver. Unless Sammy Watkins does horrible in OTAs next week or something of that sort, I just really don't see it happening at all. They already have 7 guys at wide receiver pretty much already. They have Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Mari Rodgers, and Samori Toure. And after my recent breaking down the film video on Samori Toure, which if you want to go watch it, click the link above. I'm really high on him, and I think it's really hard for myself, to keep him off the 53-man roster. Now, obviously, we'll see what happens through OTAs, training camp, and preseason, but that's right now, and those are 7 wide receivers that all could potentially make the 53-man roster, all, have reasons to make the 53-man roster. Plus, when you sign a veteran wide receiver like Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, or Will Fuller, they don't bring anything for special teams, which players of the likes of Doubs and Toure and Amari Rodgers will. There just really isn't any room to sign a free agent wide receiver, and I know I get comments all the time saying, oh, they need to sign Julio, they need to sign Will Fuller. I just really don't see it. If they wanted to sign Julio, Will Fuller, they would have signed them over Watkins to begin with. All right, so now with that out of the way, let's move on to my first free agent. These are in no particular order, but this first one is technically my most wanted free agent signing, and that is Justin Houston, edge rusher. He signed a 1-year, $2 million deal in Baltimore last year and actually had a really, really good year. A 77.8 PFF grade last year, 40 total pressures, and 6 sacks. I think he would be a great veteran add to this defense, shoring up that outside linebacker room. And Egbare was a great selection in the bottom of that 5th round, but how much will he contribute day one? I say this time and time again. Packers starting edge players play about 64-65% of snaps, so they need 2 guys to be able to rotate in, give Preston Smith, give Rashawn Gary breathers, and I think Justin Houston would fit that role perfectly. They still have Tipa Nalia, John Garvin, Randy Ramsey, and of course now Egbare, but I think adding someone like Houston, like I said, day one contributor, great veteran presence in the outside linebacker room, and he can still produce at a high level. And he would likely only cost $2 million. I mean, he signed that 1-year, $2 million deal last year in Baltimore, so I don't see him commanding much more than that. Now, earlier this month, Baltimore did place an unrestricted free agent tender on Justin Houston, but he's not officially signed in Baltimore yet. A team still has until July 22nd to sign Justin Houston. The only difference is with this tender on an unrestricted free agent is they would then account for towards compensatory draft formula. If, say, another team were to sign him, then the Ravens would probably get a compensatory selection in next year's draft. But until July 22nd, the Packers could technically still sign him. Jadeveon Clowney is actually also available, but I would say he likely wants to go to a team to start at edge rusher, not be a rotational guy playing 30% of snaps, and I could see him commanding a lot more money than Justin Houston. So that's why I chose Houston here and not Clowney. Next up on this list is a position that I still see as a big need for the Packers, and the player I have here is Andrew Adams, safety, most recently with Tampa Bay. He spent last 4 years with Tampa Bay. Now he's a free agent, and he's been a really, really solid depth safety over his career, and that's exactly what Green Bay needs. They don't need to bring in a safety that started, or they don't technically need a guy that's a starter. They need a quality depth safety that has a lot of experience, and that's exactly what Andrew Adams has. Their depth at safety is very thin. They are listing Tariq Carpenter. They're one of their 7th-round selections as a safety. I don't think he has the depth to play a deep safety role. Now, he could play a box safety, but I think he's more of that linebacker safety hybrid. I mean, he's 230 pounds. He's not the fastest guy. He's kind of that, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Like I said, the website has him listed as safety, but I just don't think he has the depth to play that deep role if someone were to get hurt, or say if they dropped Amos into the box and needed another guy deep, something like that. So outside of Amos and Savage, the Packers have Vernon Scott and Sean Davis, who had 0 defensive snaps last year in 2021. They do have undrafted free agent Trey Sterling, and also last year's undrafted free agent Ennis Gaines still in the roster, but they both also have no experience. Andrew Adams finished last year with a 78.4 PFF grade, 15 tackles, 4 pressures, and 1 interception. He did get, I think, 3 or 4 starts due to injury for Tampa Bay, so he can fill in as a starter, and he played really well in those 4 games. Overall, just a really quality rotational depth safety. He even had 4 interceptions in 2018 with Tampa Bay, 145 total career tackles, and like I said, he would add a much-needed depth and experience to that safety room for that 3rd safety spot, and he would likely only cost a veteran minimum, maybe slightly more at that. So for the 3rd player on this list, I'm going Chris Harris, slot cornerback. Although Chris Harris is at the end of his career, he's about to be 33 years old, I think he could also provide great depth and vet presence at the slot position the Packers really don't have covered right now. Jair might end up playing that slot/star role, but he's not really meant for that. Not saying he can't play it, not saying he can't be all pro, excel at that, but he's that prototypical outside lockdown corner, but he can play anywhere. Eric Stokes, Rasul Douglas, both outside guys, but outside of Jair potentially playing there, they only have second-year player Shamar Jean-Charles. Obviously, they let go of Chandon Sullivan in the offseason, who played a lot of snaps in the slot last year, so they really don't have that covered right now. I think they have a plan, but adding someone like Chris Harris, who is probably one of the best, if not the best, slot cornerbacks in the last decade, I think would add a lot. Plus, the Packers really don't have an experienced 5th cornerback. Outside of the top 3 guys with Stokes, who's also a second-year player, Jair, and Rasul, there isn't much experience at all in that cornerback room outside of those 3 guys, and all it takes is one injury to push, someone who's an undrafted free agent all the way up to, getting meaningful snaps. And if that's the case, someone does have to step up, like Rasul Douglas did last year after being signed off the Arizona Cardinals practice squad. And I think Harris could be kind of in a similar situation. Not that you want injuries to happen, but to have a veteran presence, a veteran depth like that, obviously bodes well and proves a lot, just like Rasul did. And it would likely cost under $4 million on a 1-year deal for Chris Harris in the back end of his career. So for the last player on my list, I am going to offense now. It's kind of hard because it's like there's not many offensive positions the Packers have a need at. They drafted good linemen, 3 linemen in the draft, so I think they're kind of set there. Wide receiver, I've already explained. They're set at running back. They're obviously set at quarterback, so that leaves one position, and that is tight end. And I've talked about this player in my recent free agent video a little bit over a month ago, and that is Jared Cook. I think a reunion here could be good for the Packers. It could be good for Jared Cook. The main reason being, will Bob Tonyan be ready for week 1, and in what capacity? The Packers need a vertical tight end to fill that role if Bob Tonyan isn't ready to go week 1. And even if Bob Tonyan was ready, I think Jared Cook could still add a decent aspect to this offense. He already has experience and rapport with Aaron Rodgers, so that's good. A lot of times you bring in these receivers or tight ends, and they need to get on the same page as Aaron Rodgers, as they always say. But Jared Cook already has that. I know Aaron Rodgers likes him. He's a friend of his. The tight ends left in the free agent market are super, super weak. Cook is probably the best one left, and I'm not including Rob Gronkowski, because if he comes back to play football, it's going to be with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, so I don't even think of him as an available free agent. Jared Cook had 500-plus yards in 6 straight years, and I know the Packers really do think a lot of Tyler Davis, their tight end Tyler Davis, and think he could be something great. he's not really there yet. You know, he hasn't proved much. Not saying he can't come out here and be a true vertical tight end, but we know Jared Cook is a true vertical tight end and can produce 600 plus yards thrown right into this offense, and that's maybe what they might need, and a good tight end at that. And Jared Cook would also cost likely under $2 million for a 1-year deal. I just really like the aspect of them reuniting Jared Cook in this Packers offense with Aaron Rodgers. I really liked him when he was here. Obviously, that game in Dallas, dude can make some plays, and he is older, but I still think he could contribute in a way that the Packers need. So that does it for the 4 free agents I have for this video. What are your thoughts on these 4 players? Which one would you be the most excited about? If they signed one of these guys, which one would you want to happen the most? I think all of them would help this team with depth and veteran presence, but which one would you like the most? Just leave that down in the comments below. And then also, if there is any other free agents, leave that also down in the comments below. Maybe someone I missed or didn't include it in this video. And also, if you aren't new here and you want more Packers news, analysis, and updates with OTAs coming right around the corner, make sure to go down, click that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, if you guys could please leave a like on the video, it supports my channel a ton. Appreciate everyone leaving likes and also watching the videos in general. But that about does it for this one. I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.